NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day Sports Show. We're bringing to you a lunch break episode today. What we're going to do is we're going to do a full first round mock draft for the NFL for the spring. Coming up, guys, we're already in week 14, so the NFL draft is really right around the corner. So I'm going to go through all these first round picks and let you guys know exactly where I think these organizations are going to go with their first round pick. Let's get into it. All right, NFL fans, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock with the first pick in this 2025 first round. They have a lot of holes, man. Cornerback, interior defensive line, I think needs some help as well. And if you look at the offensive line, the right side of the offensive line definitely needs some help. So where do they go? Do they take a guy like Travis Hunter that can play wide receiver and cornerback? Because they need some cornerback help desperately, in my opinion, right? So I just don't see any scenario where the Jaguars don't bring in Travis Hunter with the first pick of the 2025 NFL draft. He's just way too good. He could do kick returns. He could play a little bit in the slot, some gadget plays on offense, and then be a true lockdown number one cornerback. I think Hunter goes to the Jaguars at number one. Next up, we have the Raiders. The Raiders really need a quarterback, guys. I think they're going to go QB in the first round. If we take a look at the QBs on the board, the top guys are Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward. To me, the most fundamentally sound and NFL-ready quarterback is Cam Ward from Miami. He's just improved so much each and every year. Passer rating around 120. That pressure grade is not great, which is a little concerning for young guys coming into the NFL. But most of these younger quarterbacks, this isn't the best quarterback class for sure, but outside of the pressure grade, he looks great. I'm a huge fan of Cam Ward. He's my favorite quarterback in this draft class, right? So Cam Ward is going to go to the Raiders. Next up is the Giants, and pretty much everyone on planet Earth knows that they're going to draft a quarterback. To me, it looks like it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, who's been excellent with Colorado, man. 117 passer rating. 8 interceptions is definitely a little bit concerning in my opinion. 35 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. It's not the best ratio. He's a little bit better than Cam Ward in the pressure grade situation, but their numbers are all pretty similar, right? And the turnover-worthy plays only at 1.1% is excellent. The Giants definitely need that at the quarterback position. Shedeur Sanders goes number 3 to the Giants. Now, the New England Patriots are on the board at number 4. This is a no-brainer. Tenaroa McMillan is the best wide receiver in this draft. And he's got great size, guys. 6'5", 212 pounds. He's pretty fast, too. He's a no-brainer going to the New England Patriots. Next up, the Carolina Panthers have been winning a couple games, so they're not going to be the number 1, 2, or 3 pick, in my opinion. They could compete with New England for number 4. So where do I think the Panthers go? Bryce Young has actually been coming along a little bit. The offensive line looks really good. They did draft Jonathan Brooks early last draft, so I don't think they go like Ashton Genty in this spot. Do they go D-line? Because the defensive front 7 for them has been pretty awful. In my opinion, I think the Panthers go edge here, and Abdul Carter is the best guy at that spot. Now we move on to the Jets, who are picking in the top 10. Jets need a lot of help. Could they go quarterback in this spot? That would be very interesting as well. Interior defensive line looks really interesting too. Mason Graham from Michigan is an extremely talented guy. One of the better prospects in this draft. Everything is first class, man. He's just a really good player. I just don't think the Jets can pass up on this excellent interior defensive lineman, in my opinion. Maybe they go Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU. They do need some offensive line help. Oh, man, I've been going back and forth on this. Will Campbell is one of the better offensive linemen in this class. Malachi Starks is an absolute superstar, from Georgia. Offensive tackle. Banks from Texas is really, really talented as well. He's given up 4 hurries, 1 hit, and 1 sack this past year. If we take a look at Will Campbell, who's kind of regressed a little bit, 1 sack, 4 hits, 9 hurries. Run block grade 67, pass block grade 83. Kelvin Banks is just I think he's just a better player. So I'm going Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. Next up, we have the Titans. Do they go quarterback? Will Levis looked pretty good the past 3 weeks, but then last week against the Commanders, he was absolutely horrific, right? So, where do they go? Where do they go? Do they pick a guy like Ashton Genty, who's an absolute superstar? Do we go cornerback? The defense, and especially the defensive line, looks pretty dang good in my opinion. Could they go like wide receiver Luther Burden Jr.? That could be interesting spot for him as well. Burden is a really good player, so they need some more weapons on the offensive line, but they could go. Will Campbell's interesting for them as well because he's been a left tackle all of his career at LSU, but I could see them moving him to right tackle. He's kind of inconsistent, but the Titans are pretty desperate for offensive linemen, so I'm going to go Will Campbell here with the potential of him moving to right tackle or even at a guard spot. All right, next up, we have the Cleveland Browns, who are in desperate need of a quarterback. I think they go quarterback here. Jalen Milroe slide stops at number 8. He goes to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns need a reset at the quarterback position. This is the guy to do that. All right, now we go to the Saints, who need trench help, man. They need some offensive line help. They need some defensive line help as well. I think Mason Graham's slide ends here with the Saints. He's just too good of a prospect, right? And then the Bengals are up at number 10. They need offensive line help. They need some defensive line help. Their defense is absolutely horrific, guys. Absolutely terrible defensive line. Nick Scouton from Texas A&M, the edge defender, 4 sacks, 29 hurries. The dude's been an absolute beast. Pass rush win rate over 13%. This guy is a very talented player, but I'm not sure where they go. Josh Simmons has been very good too. No sacks allowed and over 158 snaps. He only played 6 games this year. He got hurt, so he hasn't really been playing. So I don't know if they're going to take a risk on a guy like that. Ursery from Minnesota has looked pretty good as well. 419 pass block snaps, only 1 sack. I think Ursery's going to go. The Bengals need to protect Joe Burrow. I know they could have went D-line there, but all the good D linemen are off the board there, so I don't think that's the spot for them. Okay, then the Chicago Bears are up. They need offensive line help really, really bad. So Simmons is definitely in play. I do like Wyatt Millam from West Virginia. He's going to the Bears. The Bears need offensive line help. Whether Millam stays at tackle or moves into guard, it doesn't make a difference. You need the top talent there for sure. All right, Miami Dolphins are in desperate need of offensive line help as well. The best tackle left on the board that has a first-round grade is Josh Simmons. And I think you got to protect Tua, so they're going to go with the best tackle available, in my opinion. He's going to the Dolphins. And then luckily for the Dallas Cowboys, they are in need of a running back. And Ashton Genty just falls in their lap at number 13. He is a no-brainer pick for the Cowboys at 13. Next up, we got the 49ers, guys. They need some offensive line help as well, but there's not a lot of good offensive linemen left at this spot. I could see them trading out of this spot, but a guy like Malachi Starks and Will Johnson are so good. I just think Will Johnson is an exceptional talent. He's been dealing with some injuries this year as well, but I don't think the 49ers are going to care. Will Johnson's slide stops at 14 with the San Francisco 49ers. A great pick. Great value pick at number 14. Next up, we got the Colts. They really need tight end, linebacker, and safety help. The best linebacker in this draft class is Jalen Walker. He's been kind of regressing the last few weeks, but there's a really, really, really good tight end named Tyler Warren from Penn State. I think he goes to the Colts at number 15. The dude has had huge games at Penn State. Really, really talented young kid. And then we got the Buccaneers up. They need some edge help. They need some cornerback help as well. I think they need some safety help as well. Malachi Starks goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 16, guys. Next up, the Rams. They need some offensive line help. Linebackers, corner. I think they go cornerback here. Benjamin Morrison is the best guy left on the board. Highest graded guy, but I definitely think they need some cornerback help. Trey Amos from Mississippi is a very talented guy. I like his length too at 6'1", 190. I like Amos a little bit more than I like Morrison, so he's going to go to the Rams at 17. All right, Arizona Cardinals. They need D-line help really, really bad, desperately. I think a guy like Nick Scourton is a great fit for them because he could play that edge kind of like 3-4 linebacker. He's lined up all over the field. Very, very talented guy. Nick Scourton is the pick for me at number 18 for the Cardinals. Man, the Atlanta Falcons need pass rush help desperately, guys. Desperately. So, Michael Williams is one of the best edge defenders left on the board here, guys. 6'5", 265. He's got great size, great length. I think that's the way to go, in my opinion. Shermer Stewart is on the board as well. Run defense grade. The pass rush grade. They need a guy who can get after the quarterback, man. Desperately need a guy who can get after the quarterback, man. Both of these edge defenders are not great pass rushers, man. This could be a spot where they trade out as well. As I'm looking over all of the players here, the best pass rusher left on the board is L.T. Overton from Alabama, 6'5", 283. I think he's going to climb up draft boards in this draft. I think he's going to go to the Falcons at number 19. All right, Denver Broncos are on the board. They need a big-time wide receiver. Luther Burden is that guy. Very, very talented player. One of my favorite wide receivers in this draft. A little shifty, 5'11", 208. He goes to the Broncos. A great pairing with Courtland Sutton. I love that pick. Man, the Seahawks are up. They need linebacker help. Jalen Walker slide ends here. He's just too talented to fall anymore. The Seahawks need linebacker help desperately. They need that general of the defense there. I like that spot. Okay. The Washington Commanders are on the board right now. They could use some offensive line help, some edge rushers, but cornerback to pair with Mike Sanderstreel is going to be huge. Ben Morrison goes to the Washington Commanders at 22. All right. The Texans are on the board, man, and for me, I think they need offensive line help desperately, man. I think they really, really need some interior offensive line help, so I'm going to go interior offensive line. Tyler Booker is the best guard on the board. There's not a lot of super talented guys. And this offensive line draft is terrible, right? So where do they go now? Maybe D-line, I guess. So we're looking who's left on the board. Kenneth Grant is a solid player. He's probably going to be the guy, right? These edge guys aren't the best at this spot in the draft. I think Kenneth Grant from Michigan goes at 23 to the Texans. Now the Ravens are up at pick 24, right? I think they need another wide receiver to go with Zay Flowers. I think Colston Loveland is a very talented player at the tight end spot. Isaiah Bond is a really good wide receiver as well. I think Isaiah Bond might be the guy, but I really like him. But he's kind of regressed the last few weeks, which I'd never like to see. Emeka Egbuka, I'm butchering that name, but he's just been super, super talented his whole college career, pretty much averaging an 80 grade. He's going to go to the Ravens at 24. And then this is a great spot for my dude, Colston Loveland, who's been tremendous. One of the best tight end prospects that's come out in a really long time. He's got 582 yards, 56 catches, 5 tutties, 83.4 grade. The dude is extremely talented. I'm a huge fan. He goes to the Chargers at 25. All right, the Steelers need some help on the offensive line. I think Cameron Williams goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 26. The Packers are up. Cornerback help. Jair Alexander just can't seem to stay healthy. Interior defensive line is interesting as well at this spot. Tyleik Williams seems to be the best interior defensive lineman from Ohio State. Pretty talented guy. I like him. 6'3", 327. Big hulking guy. I love that pick there. All right, now we got the Vikings up at 28. They can go running back, guard, cornerback. Oh, man. I do like Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. Extremely, extremely talented guy, averaging over about 6 yards per carry this year, 1,600 yards. I think this is a great spot to draft the running back for the Vikings at 28. Eagles are on the board. My Birds at pick 29. I think adding some edge defenders at this spot could be very interesting. Williams is a pretty good player, more of a run stopper. Him and Stewart are both more run stoppers than they are pass rushers. The Eagles want more of a pass rushing edge. James Pierce has 8 sacks this year with a pass rush grade of 89. I think James Pierce Jr. is the guy, especially with Brandon Graham he's probably going to retire, right? That season-ending injury. James Pierce Jr. is going to the Eagles at 29. The Bills are on the board at number 30, right? Where do they go? They can go defensive line. They're probably going to pick the best player available at this spot. Siobhan Revel is one of the highest graded players. He's been hurt all year. I think this is a great spot to pick a very talented player who's been hurt. Quarterback is always valuable, especially in their division. I love Siobhan Revel to the Bills at pick 30. Now, the Chiefs need offensive line help desperately. In my opinion, they're going to just keep throwing shit against the wall and hope it sticks. They're going to pick the best offensive tackle available. And North Dakota State's Greg Zabel has been unbelievable, 91.2 grade this year, 91.8, excuse me. He's going to go to the Chiefs at 31. And Detroit Lions on the board. They're going to pick the best edge guy available. Mikael Williams, let's check out his size, 6'5", 265. And then Sherman Stewart, he's going to 6'6", 290. A little bit bigger of a frame. I think they're going to go with Sherman Stewart from Texas A&M. All right, NFL fans, let's just quickly recap this draft. We'll go over the top 10. We got Travis Hunter to the Jaguars, Cam Ward to the Raiders, Shedeur Sanders to the Giants, Teteroa McMillan goes to New England, Abdul Carter goes to Carolina, Kelvin Banks goes to the Jets, Will Campbell to the Titans, Jalen Milroe, the quarterback, goes to the Browns, and then we got Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman, to the Saints, and wrapping up, Arante Ursary, the tackle from Minnesota, goes to the Bengals. I'm sorry I butchered that name, but that's my first mock draft of the year. Let me know in the comments below, who do you want your favorite team to draft in this spring's draft? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.